India do about the U.S. and China? The U.S., take it from me, as a U.S. citizen, the U.S. is not reliable under President Trump. A containment strategy would be my advice. Find a way to accept the offer of lower tariffs from President Trump, but be careful in committing to too much. As you heard from the minister, agriculture in India is important. Many, many individuals rely on it. Opening up the agricultural market in response for lower tariffs into the Indian market would be a very dangerous strategy. This was the strategy that Mexico embarked in the North American Free Trade Agreement, and many farmers in Mexico were deeply hurt by that process. I would argue for containment and careful negotiation, reciprocity at all times. Although Trump's tariffs are called reciprocal, they are not. India should demand reciprocity. With China, India needs to find a way to control China's enormous trade surplus surge. It's at levels never before seen. Any agreements must be contingent on China restricting that enormous trade surplus in the direction of India. Priority number 2, addressing pollution and climate change. It's very difficult to become the #1 country in the world with these kinds of air quality levels. My own research on India has shown that price mechanisms could be really important. In particular, setting differential prices on coal could reduce consumption of coal and clean up the air. That's what the data for India shows. Those could be combined. Pricing mechanisms can be combined with command and control policies, such as those that the Supreme Court Action Plan helped institute over a number of years. The combination of price mechanisms to encourage smaller enterprises to address consumption of dirty fuels and Supreme Court action plans that targeted the largest and most important companies had significant effects on different outcomes. Green industrial policy is an important topic. We could spend many hours talking about it. I would just suggest one thing from my research on China. One of the reasons that China's industrial policy was so successful is that it was combined in conjunction with increasing competition, not reducing it. So using tariffs to promote, for example, solar energy would be the absolute worst strategy. Competition is your friend. Last priority. India has a tremendous asset. The size of the domestic market is so large that India can use domestic competition to create levels of performance that many smaller countries do not have the opportunity to use. China has used fierce domestic competition to its advantage to force domestic enterprises to become world-class. India can go much further in reducing the barriers to domestic competition and continuing to battle the license raj. Let me give you, in conclusion, a personal example. I'm wanting to come to India after not having been here for many years. I applied for a visa. After hours of working on my first visa application, it was denied. I was counseled to try a tourist visa, which I did. After hours of working on my tourist visa was eventually denied. Third time, you can tell I really wanted to be here today. I tried for a third time for a visa. I finally got a visa. The details required just to get a visa to come to India just for 5 days are crazy compared to many of the other countries that I have traveled to. I teach at University of California, Berkeley. One of my students whose family immigrated from India told me the story of how they carry large suitcases everywhere they go, filled with all the forms that over the years they have had to fill out and that they think they might need one day. In applying for a visa, I was asked for my visa information from 1986, when I was barely out of high school. Of course I didn't have it. I've moved so many times since then. So my urge to you is to think about the benefits of competition in this incredible country and continue to work on enhancing domestic competition and battling the license raj. It has been a deep pleasure to be back here after so many years. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you.